Did you ever dream about becoming a professional padel player? Imagine this, traveling all around the world, training padel every day, and best of all, the thrill of competition. Is it as good as it sounds, or is it too good to be true? Today, in Padel Drive, we're gonna talk about the harsh reality of being a professional padel player in 2025. Vamos! Up until recently, professional padel was only played in Spain. However, over the last decade, padel has seen a massive growth and it has now become a global phenomenon. In the past, players used to train and compete within Spain. However, we can see now major tournaments all around the world, in places such as Miami, Dubai, Rome, Buenos Aires, Rotterdam, Riyadh, Giza, and many others. Obviously, this is great for the sport and the fans, but there is a reality that nobody is talking about. Before, players used to take a train or drive for a couple of hours to get to the competition, but now they are spending thousands for those flights all across the globe. While this is fine for the top players like Galán, Coello, Tapia, and Paquito, it is not the same case for slightly lower ranked players. The main difference is that the top players, they now have access to huge sponsorship deals that they put a lot of money to help financing the cost of traveling, but on the other hand, the sponsorship deals for the slightly lower ranked players, they have stayed the same. So obviously, having to put all this money into traveling means a much bigger effort. While top players like Alejandro Galán, top 3 in the world, they can travel with coach, physio, and psychologist in business class, the top 51 in the world, maybe he needs to travel alone with several connection flights, spending 10 hours waiting in Turkey and in tourist class. So obviously the gap between these two group of players has become much bigger than before. Additionally, the size of the draw of some of the major tournaments has become smaller. So now these lower ranked players, they have to fight even harder in qualifying matches to get to the main draw. Whenever they get here, they are facing players like Alejandro Galán, who is well rested and is super hard to compete against them. So what happens now with these players? That they are forced to play minor tournaments like the FIPS, where sometimes no off-court play is allowed, which means that when you do a portres, the point is finished, and sometimes they don't even have physio. Sometimes, even when they win the tournament, they are losing money overall, because the expenses were higher than the prize money. So now I have a question for you. Is this really what we're looking for? Watching the same 20 players facing each other all over again, and creating a massive entry barrier for the rest of the players? Is this really what we want to see? I want to know your opinion in the comments down below. Hopefully, as we move on, we start to see more and more brands start getting interested into padel and putting money to help these lower ranked players. And this is why, from Padel Drive, as a small brand, we have decided to sponsor Cándido Alfaro, a really good friend and a pro padel player. He is now top 140 in the world and he is in the best moment of his career. This year, Cándido has started training with Hugo Cases. Some of you already know him. He is one of my favorite padel coaches in the world. And he is also being supported by Marfit, my favorite physical trainer. This season, Cándido will be wearing the Padel Drive logo on his t-shirt, and this will allow us to bring you all the insights from the professional padel world. So make sure you follow him on social media, because we will be collaborating with Cándido to bring really cool padel content. It would be amazing to see the Padel Drive community supporting Cándido and hopefully watching some of his games. For those of you who want to support even further, we're gonna be setting up a platform for donations. All the money will go to Cándido, and those of you who donate more than €5, you will enter in a giveaway of these two padel rackets. The Comex Attack and the Comex Control, which are worth £205 each. All the details for the donations and the giveaway in the description down below. I also think that it would be funny if you guys propose a challenge that we have to do if Candido gets to a semi-final of a P1 or a P2, or if he manages to beat Arturo Coello and Agustín Tapia. I visited Candido and Hugo Cases the last time I was in Madrid this Christmas, so if you want to see a real pro padel training session of these two, make sure that you leave a comment down below. Padel drivers, this was not supposed to be on the video, but something just happened that highlights even more the story that we just told. 2 days ago, Candido was not supposed to play on Riyadh. He was #1 pair in the waiting list. He receives a call saying that one of the pairs dropped out from the qualifying draw and now he's able to make it. He has to book a flight with 2 days in advance to Riyadh, that you can imagine how expensive that is. He gets there, he plays on the first match and he loses on the third set 7-6. So now imagine, he has spent a lot of money traveling there, he has lost, he didn't make any money at all, and now he has to come in a 12 hours flight, go back to training. So this is the hard reality that lower ranked players are facing right now. Imagine how devastating this is, losing a match after traveling all these hours for literally nothing. The cost, the time, the competition, the fatigue, destroying. But it gets even worse. Previous years, 8 pairs from the qualifying draw jump to the main draw, but this year it's only 4 pairs, so now it's even harder. So, for example, the guys that beat Candido today, they have to play 2 games tomorrow to get to the main draw. The reason behind this is that now the top 4 pairs of the world, so the strongest players, they can skip 2 rounds, so they just have to play less matches than the rest of the pairs. And then from pair number 5 to pair number 8, they skip 1 round. So basically, this highlights the difference again between the top ranked players and the slightly lower ranked players, because it's almost impossible to compete against them. I mean, imagine play 3 matches in a row and then the next day you're playing against someone that is well rested and has all the advantages of the world. In order to get to the final, a player from quali would have to play 1 game on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday, and then from Monday to Sunday of the next week. That would be 10 games in 9 days. My question is, would you imagine this happening in other professional sports? Having to play 10 games in 9 days in a row to get to the final? Let's debate in the comments. Do you think this is fair? Because you might say, okay, they're better, they deserve to be there. And now my question is, when they got there in the past, was it the same conditions that we have now? Or do you think that now it's harder to get there? Also, do you think they might have an unfair advantage compared to the lower ranked players? Well, this being said, Candido, a message for you. Don't worry about this, this is just the beginning. Now, time to get back home, to rest, to go back to training and come back even stronger. You have the whole support of the Padel Drive community, and we know that you're gonna do great this year. Vamos, Candido! As you can see, being a pro padel player is not as fancy as it may seem from the outside. Remember to support Candido throughout this season and let us know in the comments if you like this different type of content. If it's the case, drop us a like. Thank you for watching and we will see you in the next one. Vamos!